And earlier today, the NITI Aayog's technical advisory group met to take a decision on the booster dose. Amid speculation over the booster dose, the National Technical Advisory Group held a meeting. Sources suggest to Mirror Now that no conclusive decision was taken on whether administering booster dose is something that the country will introduce at this stage, or whether it is necessary for the elderly as well as for the immunocompromised people.
In fact, some spike has been seen, and that's why Centre has written to these states. There are district-wise differentiations and percentage shared with the states, where Centre has identified 6 states and Centre has written to them. Currently, can it be linked with Omicron? That is too early to say, is what the health ministry sources are telling us. But yes, a tab has to be kept on the rising figure. At a time when Omicron numbers are increasing, the states have been told to maintain a vigil on overall number. In that, the Centre has said that there has been no recommendation, and sources have told us that there was no recommendation that was made from the NTAGI side for giving additional dose of COVID vaccine to the population right now.
Dr. Rajiv Dasgupta is going to join us shortly to tell us more about this. But before that, let's remind our viewers once again that 2 more cases have been detected from Mumbai, and the the NITI Aayog is still considering the importance of booster dose at this stage. Okay, I'm going to go across now to Dr. Rajiv Dasgupta from the COVID task force, who's joining us here on the program. Good evening, Dr. Dasgupta. I want to understand from you the fact that the first, of course, INSACOG said that those above the years of 40 should be given the booster dose. Now with the Omicron variant, it has become imperative. Later, they said that that decision has been revised. Today, there was a technical advisory group meeting, and they did not arrive at any conclusion on this. What, according to you, is the argument around booster dose at the moment? Is it necessary? Can it be postponed?
Good evening. As far as the global trend goes, booster dose seems to be emerging as a very strong consensus decision in many countries. However, in my understanding, the central government's current approach is to be able to cover as many as possible with the second dose. In other words, a full schedule. The adults and then the vulnerable children, of course. Plus, given the Omicron situation, there would be a rationale in perhaps considering an additional dose, not an across-the-board booster dose for the vulnerable adults also.
All right. I want to make a very simple distinction here again, because there was also the issue of additional dose, as you also mentioned, which is confusing a lot of people, and they are mistaking one for the other. What would be the simplest way to explain that additional dose and booster dose are 2 different things, and why is it important to understand this?
In its simplest possible explanation, a booster dose comprises, and in a sense, an essential package. Just as, for example, in children, a tetanus toxoid booster dose is mandatory at age 5 or at age 10 after a primary vaccination in the infancy, in the year 1 of life. Okay. But an additional dose is one, particularly in the case of COVID, which is required to achieve complete immunity, which in normal or normal in the sense of the immune system.
Yes.
Others can achieve with 2 doses, but those, say, who are on prolonged steroid therapy or cancer patients and so on, would require an additional dose of, say, 3 doses to achieve the same level of protection as with 2 doses in otherwise immunocompetent individuals.
Okay. All right. So that is a very important distinction. And one last word on going forward, since you're a member of the COVID task force, what are the immediate priorities for the task force given the Omicron variant threat?
Well, the immediate priority is, as we were discussing, to cover as many people as possible with 2 doses. As the African situation has shown, In South Africa, for example, when this Omicron broke out a couple of weeks ago, their coverage with 2 doses was about 26%.
Yes.
And across the African continent, the coverage was about 7%. That shows how a basic vaccine inequity makes the population, and indeed, as a whole, the world, vulnerable to newer challenges. And therefore, that would really be India's concern, because we still have a whole lot of distance to travel in order to complete these 2 doses schedule for the adults and then get on to children, for whom there would be an increasing demand, understandably, from parents and also from an epidemiological point of view.
Okay, right. There are a lot of questions around Omicron. Even now, we still do not have enough research or data to draw inferences about the behavior of the virus or the variant. But we will go with the information that the experts like Dr. Rajiv Das Gupta shares here on Mirror. Now, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.